It has been over 54 years since All in the Family first aired on CBS, and trust me, what happened to this cast will genuinely shock you. One star lost his son to suicide and spent the rest of his life fighting back. Another turned down one of the most iconic TV roles in history. Some of them are gone, some completely disappeared, and one cast member just lived through the most unthinkable tragedy of 2025. This is where they all ended up. Number 1. Carroll O'Connor as Archie Bunker. If you grew up watching television in the 1970s, you already know this name. Carroll O'Connor was 46 years old when he stepped into the role of Archie Bunker, a loud, opinionated, working-class man from Queens, New York, who said out loud what most people were afraid to even think. Archie called his son-in-law Meathead, he called his wife Dingbat, and somehow America fell completely in love with him. Here is something most people do not know. Carroll was actually living in Rome when Norman Lear called him about the show. He took the role not expecting it to succeed. He thought he would be back in Europe within a year. How wrong he was. Archie Bunker became the #1 character in American television. The show topped the Nielsen ratings for 5 consecutive years. Nobody had done that before. Carroll won 4 Emmy Awards just for this role alone, and then a 5th for his later series In the Heat of the Night, where he played a Southern police chief. 5 Emmys. That is not a career, that is a legacy. But behind all that success, Carroll O'Connor carried a pain that never went away. In 1995, his only son, Hugh O'Connor, died by suicide after a long battle with drug addiction. Carroll was devastated, but instead of staying silent, he went to war. He fought in court, he lobbied the California legislature, he appeared in anti-drug commercials, he helped pass a law that allowed families to sue drug dealers directly. That law still carries his son's name today, the Hugh O'Connor Memorial Law. Carroll O'Connor passed away on June 21, 2001, at the age of 76 from a heart attack brought on by complications of diabetes. His net worth at the time of his death was estimated at $25 million. He left behind a body of work that television has never quite matched, and a father's love that outlasted everything. Number 2. Jean Stapleton as Edith Bunker. Now let's talk about the woman who made Archie Bunker bearable. Jean Stapleton was 48 years old when she first appeared as Edith Bunker. Sweet, endlessly patient, and yes, a little scattered. Archie called her Dingbat, but viewers knew the truth. Edith was the heart of that entire show. Here is the remarkable thing about Jean. She had spent nearly 30 years working in theater before All in the Family. Broadway musicals, off-Broadway plays, small TV roles. Recognition never quite came, and then, at an age when most actors feel invisible, she became one of the most beloved faces on American television. That tells you something about real talent. It does not expire. Jean won 3 Emmy Awards and 2 Golden Globes for her role as Edith. She handled storylines that no sitcom had ever touched before. Edith going through menopause, Edith nearly being assaulted, Edith finding a lump in her breast. Jean played every single one of those moments with such truth that audiences did not just laugh, they cried. They recognized someone they loved. And then Jean did something bold. When the show transitioned into the spin-off Archie Bunker's Place, she chose to step away. She was tired of the role and she wanted to do other things. Edith was written out with a stroke. Just like that, the Dingbat was gone. After the show, Jean played Eleanor Roosevelt in a TV film, earning Emmy and Golden Globe nominations for that role too. She appeared in You've Got Mail with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. She kept working in theater right up until her final years. In 2002, she was inducted into the Television Academy Hall of Fame. Jean Stapleton passed away peacefully on May 31, 2013, at her home in New York City. She was 90 years old, surrounded by family. Her net worth at the time of her death was estimated at $10 million. Norman Lear said it best when he heard the news. He said, "No one gave more profound lessons on how to be a human being than Jean Stapleton." Goodbye, Edith. Number 3. Rob Reiner as Michael Stivic. Rob Reiner was just 21 years old when he walked onto the set of All in the Family as Michael Stivic, a college student, a liberal, a long-haired idealist living under Archie Bunker's roof and driving him absolutely crazy. Archie called him Meathead from day one, and somehow that nickname followed Rob Reiner for the rest of his life. He once said, and this stays with you, that even if he won the Nobel Prize, the headline would read, "Meathead wins the Nobel Prize." But here's what makes Rob's story so extraordinary. He came from Hollywood royalty. His father was Carl Reiner, the legendary comedian and creator of the Tom Van Dyke Show. Growing up in that house, Rob felt constant pressure to measure up. And for a while, even with a hit TV show, he felt like he hadn't. He won 2 Emmy Awards for his role as Meathead in 1974 and in 1978. But deep down, Rob wanted to be behind the camera, not in front of it. When All in the Family ended in 1978, Rob made the pivot, and what a pivot it was. He directed This Is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, and A Few Good Men. That last one was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture. He also co-founded Castle Rock Entertainment, which produced The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, 2 of the most beloved films ever made. Rob Reiner didn't just succeed after Meathead, he became one of Hollywood's greatest filmmakers. His net worth at the time of his death was estimated at $200 million. But now we have to talk about the unthinkable. On December 14, 2025, Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were found dead at their home in Los Angeles. Their son, Nick Reiner, was arrested and charged with their murders. The entertainment world went silent. Hollywood lost one of its finest, and the cast of All in the Family lost another member. Rob Reiner was 78 years old. Number 4. Sally Struthers as Gloria Stivic. Sally Struthers was just 23 years old when she auditioned for the role of Gloria Bunker. And here's the thing, she almost never got it. She had just been let go from the Tim Conway Comedy Hour, unemployed, discouraged, and genuinely unsure about her future. Then Norman Lear spotted her on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. One audition later, she had the role that would define her life. Gloria was Archie and Edith's daughter, kind-hearted like her mother, but stubborn like her father, a feminist in a household that was not always ready for one. Sally played every contradiction of that character perfectly. She won 2 Emmy Awards for the role and stayed with the show for 8 full seasons. After the show, Sally surprised everyone. She became one of the most visible humanitarian voices on American television. For years, she appeared in Christian Children's Fund commercials, raising millions of dollars for impoverished children around the world. Some people mocked her for it, but she showed up anyway, every single time. Her acting never stopped either. She voiced characters in Dinosaurs and Tailspin. She played Babette on Gilmore Girls for 7 years. She toured in Hello, Dolly and Annie, performing 8 shows a week well into her 70s. And then in 2024, something remarkable happened. Sally landed a starring role in the Netflix hit A Man on the Inside alongside Ted Danson. Season 2 dropped on November 20th, 2025. The show was renewed for a 3rd season in early 2026. At 78 years old, Sally Struthers is still performing, still showing up, the last surviving lead of All in the Family, and she is nowhere near done.
Number 5. Isabel Sanford as Louise Jefferson. Here is a story about a woman who never gave up. Isabel Sanford was 53 years old when she first appeared as Louise Jefferson on All in the Family. 53. Most actors at that age feel like the window has already closed. Isabel Sanford had not even opened hers yet. She grew up in Harlem, the youngest of 7 children and the only one to survive infancy. Her mother told her show business was the road to degradation, so Isabel snuck out of the house anyway, performed at Harlem nightclubs, worked as a cleaning woman to pay her bills, raised 3 children on her own, and spent 30 years in theater before Hollywood ever noticed her. When Norman Lear cast her as Louise Jefferson, something clicked immediately. The chemistry between Isabel and Sherman Hemsley was so electric that Norman Lear spun them off into their own show. The Jeffersons premiered in 1975 and ran for 11 seasons. It was the first American sitcom to feature an upwardly mobile black family. And that theme song, Movin' On Up, became one of the most recognized in television history. Isabel earned 7 Emmy nominations and won in 1981. She became the first African-American woman to win the Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series. In January 2004, just months before her death, she received her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She said it was something she had dreamed about since she was 9 years old. Isabel Sanford passed away on July 9, 2004, at the age of 86, still making people laugh right up until the end. Number 6. Mike Evans as Lionel Jefferson. Now let's talk about the young man who became the quiet bridge between 2 of the most important shows in television history. Mike Evans was just 21 years old when producer John Rich cast him as Lionel Jefferson on All in the Family. He was a drama student at Los Angeles City College. No credits, no resume, just raw instinct and natural charm, and it worked immediately. Lionel was sharp, college-educated, and he had a gift. He could stand right next to Archie Bunker while Archie said something completely ignorant, and instead of getting angry, he would just smile, play along, adopt an exaggerated accent, and walk away, leaving Archie feeling satisfied while the entire audience was in on the joke. It was brilliant writing. And Mike Evans made it look completely effortless. When the Jeffersons launched in 1975, Mike went with it, but he did not stay long. He had been working behind the scenes co-creating Good Times with Eric Monte, one of the first sitcoms in history to feature a primarily black cast. He walked away from fame to build something meaningful. That is not a small thing. He returned to the Jeffersons in 1979 for a few more seasons, then quietly stepped away from Hollywood for good. He invested in California real estate and lived life on his own terms. Mike Evans passed away on December 14, 2006, at his mother's home in 29 Palms, California. He was only 57 years old. Throat cancer. The announcement was not even released until a week later. That tells you everything about how quietly this man moved through the world. Number 7. Danielle Brisebois as Stephanie Mills. Here is a story that almost nobody knows, and once you hear it, you will not forget it. Danielle Brisebois was just 9 years old when she joined All in the Family in 1978. 9. She played Stephanie Mills, a little girl abandoned by her troubled father at the bunker doorstep. Archie and Edith took her in, and that one decision gave the show an emotional depth it had never had before. But here's where her story gets genuinely remarkable. Before All in the Family, she was already on Broadway. At 7, she played Molly in the original production of Annie. She earned a Golden Globe nomination at just 12 years old for Archie Bunker's Place. Then in the 90s, she walked away from acting entirely and moved into music. She became a member of the alt-rock band New Radicals. Their debut single, You Get What You Give, became a massive hit in 1998. You almost certainly know that song, even if you do not know her name. And then she kept writing. She co-wrote Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. She co-wrote Pocketful of Sunshine. Both became global hits. In 2015, she received an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Song for Lost Stars from the film Begin Again, an Oscar nomination for The Little Girl from the Bunker Household. Today, at 56 years old, Danielle lives quietly with her husband and twin daughters. No red carpets, no interviews, just the music. And honestly, the music speaks for itself. Number 8. Allan Melvin as Barney Hefner. Now let's talk about the man who was everywhere on television and yet somehow never got the recognition he deserved. Allan Melvin was 48 years old when he first appeared as Barney Hefner on All in the Family, Archie's best friend, his barstool buddy. Not the flashiest character on the show, but the most real, because every neighborhood has a Barney Hefner. By the time he walked onto that set, Allan had already spent 2 decades quietly building one of the most impressive TV careers in history. He played Corporal Henshaw on The Phil Silvers Show, Sergeant Hacker on Gomer Pyle Alley, 8 different guest appearances on The Andy Griffith Show, 8 appearances, 8 completely different roles. And most people today still remember him as Sam the Butcher on The Brady Bunch, Alice's boyfriend. Always dependable, always exactly right for the part. When All in the Family ended, Barney became even more central in the spin-off Archie Bunker's Place. And when that ended in 1983, Allan quietly moved into voice work. Magilla Gorilla, Bluto from Popeye, dozens of cartoon characters that children loved without ever knowing his name. Behind it all, Allan carried a private grief. His daughter Maya passed away in 1970. He never spoke about it publicly. He just kept working. Allan Melvin passed away on January 17, 2008, at 84. Cancer. His wife, Amalia, whom he had married back in 1944, was by his side. 64 years together. Television was lucky to have him.